good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for being here today. First, I want to acknowledge, of course, that we're gathered today on the traditional territory of Treaty 6. I want to acknowledge, of course, the shared home with the Métis people of Alberta, who have, of course, a deep connection to this land. I am Deputy Premier Mike Ellis, Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Services, and I am pleased to be here alongside my colleague, Minister Rick McIver, Mayor Sohi, Mayor Gandam, Mayor Janung, Mr. Mark Coughlin of Alert, and EPS Interim Chief LaForce, and Deputy Chief Dreichel, of course, to announce a new initiative in our ongoing efforts to combat the deadly issue of fentanyl. Excuse me. This announcement today will improve public safety right across our province as part of a Team Canada approach in the fight against fentanyl. We all know that this drug is devastating our country. Communities have been torn apart, and of course, sadly, lives have been lost. Social and civil disorder and the rise of fentanyl trafficking and the production, of course, are problems that we're not going to tolerate here in Alberta. We must work together with urgency and purpose to protect Albertans, eliminate the harmful drugs from our streets. And that is why today I'm announcing that Alberta's government and municipalities are working together to get 800 community peace officers under operational command of their local police services to combat fentanyl, social disorder, with a unified approach. This is a necessary measure that will enhance coordination and ensure a stronger, more effective response to crime in our streets and open-air drug use. So how will this work? Under this initiative, community peace officers from 34 large and mid-sized municipalities will immediately begin to coordinate operations with local police by integrating their communication, their dispatch systems while on patrol and when responding to calls. Doing so will create the operational consistency needed to combat fentanyl crime, as well as social disorder with compassion, as well as efficiency. As I've said before, officer presence matters. And this will make a significant difference in the fight against social disorder and open-air drug use. We will also ensure that law enforcement approach this with compassion for those who are suffering from the illness of addiction. As you all know, President Trump has threatened to impose tariffs on Canada, citing the need to stop fentanyl from entering into the United States. This is an issue which is occurring both ways across this border. Prime Minister Trudeau has responded by committing 10,000 personnel that would be deployed to strengthen border protection and to combat the issue of the fentanyl crisis. Here in Alberta, we are doing our part for a strong Team Canada solution with a visible law enforcement presence to deter illegal activity. Currently, over 800 peace officers within Alberta have different authorities than police officers, and that distinction will remain in place. I will say by integrating their efforts, we can ensure all available law enforcement resources are working together under a unified command to combat fentanyl. However, this initiative is not indefinite. We will evaluate the effectiveness and work closely with municipalities and law enforcement agencies to assess its impact. Our goal is to take the strongest possible approach to public safety while ensuring our measures are effective, they're practical, and responsive to the needs of communities right across Alberta. We have witnessed how fentanyl endangers Albertans and puts immense pressure on families and of course, the most vulnerable. This crisis demands action. Alberta's government is stepping up to ensure that our enforcement efforts are as strong and coordinated as possible. I want to thank our municipal partners, our law enforcement agencies for their cooperation and the swift action. Your efforts, of course, are essential to keeping our community safe and addressing this crisis head-on and together. I know that we will continue to fight the fentanyl crisis with determination, with collaboration, and a shared commitment to protecting Albertans. And with that, I will pass the mic over to my friend, Minister Rick McIver.
Thank you, Minister Ellis, and thank you for being here, and thank you to the Edmonton Police Service for hosting us today. There is nothing more important for Alberta's communities than public safety. Our government is committed to this, but none of the work matters unless Albertans feel safe in their own communities, and today's announcement is about helping that to happen. The preserving public safety for all Albertans is a team effort. Every level has a role to play. The Government of Canada has made commitments to keep our borders safe and to fight fentanyl, and today we are celebrating the cooperation between big cities mid-sized cities, all Alberta municipalities and Alberta's government, and the cooperation between police services and peace officers to put the right people in the right place to do the right job to maximize the ability that we have to keep Albertans safe. This is something to celebrate. This is the Team Canada approach, with all orders of government working together and several different variations of public safety officers working together. So we need to hit the fentanyl crisis head on. This will help restore social and civil order while combating a drug that destroys families and livelihoods of too many Albertans every single day. Our government looks forward to continue to work with our municipal partners through this because we can, and we will tackle these growing concerns by working together, as this demonstrates today. I'd like to thank Minister Ellis, the municipalities represented by Mayor Janung, Mayor Gandam, and of course our host municipality, Mayor Sohi. And thank you for stepping up and being a part of keeping Canada safe, keeping Alberta safe, and right here, keeping Edmonton safe. Special thanks to all the men and women in uniform that are on the front line every single day doing the tough part of the work. And now I'd like to introduce Mayor Gandam from AB Munis.
Thank you very much, Mr. McIver. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tyler Gandam, President of Alberta Municipalities and Mayor for the City of Wetaskiwin. I'm here today to speak on behalf of Alberta Municipalities, or AB Munis, the association that represents 260 summer villages, towns, and cities across Alberta. More than 85% of Albertans live in the communities my association represents. To start, Alberta Municipalities is very pleased to collaborate with the Government of Alberta on this very important initiative. We acknowledge that the crime and social disorder caused by drugs, including fentanyl, trafficked across the international border and interprovincial boundaries are immense. It puts a strain on policing, public safety, and family and community support services in communities of all sizes and locations across Alberta. Next, I want to speak for a moment about the community peace officers. They are talented and hardworking professionals. I'm grateful to them for all they do to keep Albertans safe, respond to local emergencies, and support our police, firefighters, and EMS crews. Peace officers in many of our member communities have been working closely with municipal police services for some time. Our members realize a joint, integrated approach is the most effective way to maintain and improve public safety. For example, the City of Red Deer's peace officers have worked with RCMP officers as part of an integrated downtown patrol unit since 2022. The peace officers in this unit can investigate certain Criminal Code of Canada violations, and they have received additional training and access to RCMP resources. To conclude, I want you to know that our member communities welcome the opportunity to contribute to a unified approach to tackling drug trafficking and drug use. Alberta Municipalities' member communities know we can accomplish big things when we work closely with the provincial government and the federal government to tackle and overcome common challenges together. Thanks, and I'd like to pass the microphone over to the Mayor of Cochrane, His Worship, Jeff Janung.
Thank you, Mayor Gandam. Good afternoon. First, I want to thank Minister Ellis and Minister McIver and their colleagues within the provincial government for inviting Alberta mid-sized cities to participate in this joint effort. The impacts of fentanyl and social disorder aren't restricted to the province's two large urban centers. The increase in the usage of these dangerous and deadly drugs has caused safety and security concerns across the province. And our mid-sized cities haven't been immune to the growing challenge. Whether it's in the smaller center or in an urban hub that connects northern and southern regions, the devastating effects of illicit drugs on our residents, their families and friends, and loved ones remains the same. That's why when the Government of Alberta reached out to the members of the Mid-Sized City Mayors Caucus to see if we would participate in this effort, we didn't give it a second thought. Not only is our community's well-being on the line, but we want to give the confidence to our trading partners that we're taking national and provincial security seriously through swift and immediate actions. More importantly, we need to show our own communities that we take these issues seriously and will act to stop at nothing to stop them. However, to address an issue that impacts everyone, we need to work together to solve it. Integrating community peace officers with municipal police forces and the RCMP is a practical solution to strengthening public safety and delivering confidence in our provincial and national security. By coordinating resources and personnel, we create a more effective and responsive system that enhances public safety. With changes already made at the municipal level, we look forward to seeing the outcomes with this integrated solution. We are confident that by working together, we can make progress on reducing crime and social disorder, protecting our citizens and building safer, more vibrant streets. Thank you again to the province of Alberta for working side by side with municipalities, inviting us to collaborate on issues that matter most to our residents. And thank you for providing us the opportunity to feel connected and empowered, ensuring each of our municipalities can contribute meaningfully to support our country. And now I'd like to invite Mayor Sohi to the podium.
Thank you, Mayor Janang. The fentanyl crisis is having a devastating impact on individuals, families, communities across Alberta and Canada. The rise of illegal fentanyl, trafficking and consumption, and the social disorder and public safety concern it causes demand a coordinated and strategic response. Increased collaboration and coordination means that police and peace officers will have the tools and support they need to respond quickly. City of Edmonton has a strong history of collaboration and coordination with Edmonton Police Services to enhance public safety. For example, our Transit Safety Plan and Transit Security Oversight Committee has been an effective partnership that has reduced crime and disorder on public transit. Our administration is exploring options to further enhance authorities for peace officers in collaboration with Government of Alberta, and I want to thank both Minister Ellis and Minister McIver for including us in this initiative. Over the past 3.5 years, Edmonton City Council has made important investments to improve safety, and we're seeing positive results. New data shows that crime in Edmonton is at the lowest levels in the last decade. But we know much more work needs to be done. Increased coordination between all partners will help keep our city safe. But we also know that policing is only one part of tackling this crisis. Illegal fentanyl has given rise to serious health and wellness issues across our communities. Its consumption has led to serious substance use disorder among hundreds of Edmontonians. Recognizing this reality, we must continue to expand and enhance our investments in addiction treatment and recovery, mental health supports, and affordable housing with appropriate health and cultural supports. As Edmontonians, on behalf of City Council, I want to assure our partners that we are part of Team Canada. Increased collaboration to tackle the fentanyl crisis is one of the ways we can step up to support our country during tariff negotiations. Edmonton's new interim police chiefs, Warren Dreichel and Devin LaForce, bring dedication and experience that will be invaluable as we continue working together to build a safe and inclusive city for all. With that, I would like to invite Chief LaForce to speak next.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'm Edmonton Police Chief Devin LaForce, and I'd like to first of all, thank you for my colleagues, and it's absolutely very much part of Team Canada as why we're here, and Edmonton has a role to play here as well. I'm pleased to be here with our partners from the province, the City of Edmonton, the Mid-Sized Cities, Mayor's Caucus, Alberta municipalities, and Alberta law enforcement response teams. I know the Edmonton Police Service echoes everyone's dedication to addressing the fentanyl crisis head-on by working together and enhancing our operational alignment. Together, we are committed to implementing immediate, serious reforms to tackle a crisis that has touched every community in our province, including Edmonton. That's why I'm proud to support the province of Alberta's request to have community peace officers coordinate with EPS operations. Between January and October 2024 alone, Edmonton saw approximately 441 opioid-related deaths. These deaths aren't just data points and reports. They're our co-workers, our friends, our partners, our children, our communities. We know that the trafficking of opioids, like fentanyl, prey on our most vulnerable and contribute to the overall disorder challenges Edmonton continues to face. In 2024, we took over 30 kilograms of fentanyl off of our streets. Depending on a variety of sales factors, the quantity of fentanyl represents an approximate street value of up to $2.4 million. So far in 2025, the EPS has already seized nearly 6 kilograms of fentanyl with an approximate street value of $500,000. Certainly this problem hasn't gone away. It goes without saying that drug-related crimes have nothing but negative impacts on our lives, our livelihoods, and our sense of safety. Edmontonians and visitors to our city have the right to feel safe on our streets and shouldn't be forced to endure open-air drug use in our public spaces. With EPS now coordinating operations with community peace officers, we believe this will have a positive impact on tackling crime and protecting Edmonton's communities and neighborhoods. Together with our partners, we will endeavor to collectively maximize our resources and intelligence sharing to stop those preying on our most vulnerable. Here in Edmonton, we are working with our city partners to implement joint efforts that will increase police and peace officer visibility, both on our streets and on our transit systems. With calls for service to LRT stations and transit centers increasing by about 12% in 2024, we know that these measures will provide relief to Edmontonians. We know that this works because we've seen that coordinating operational efforts, increasing police presence, and implementing dedicated resources do in fact make a difference. We've seen this with the EPS Guns and Gangs strategy, the impact of this strategy contributing to a 47% reduction in shootings in 2024 compared to 2023 alone. And where there are drugs, there are most always guns. So we also know that even our efforts to combat gun crime are often directly connected to drug trafficking. By joining forces, we know that tackling this issue at all levels of government will make a difference. Thank you again for joining us today, and we look forward to taking your questions.
This brings us to the question and answer portion of our announcement. We do have quite a number of journalists here on the floor. I would just ask that you have one question, one follow-up, and please state your name and outlet.
Hi, I'm Sean Amato with City News. Question for Mayor Sohi. Wanted to ask you about a general trend of the province taking more control of municipal policing. Obviously, they struck a task force that you weren't very happy about for not getting approval on. They also are promising to appoint more police commissioners. So I'm wondering what you think of this, considering Edmonton taxpayers are primarily responsible for paying for our police.
So we're here today because our communities need and our country needs better coordination, better collaboration, and operational efficiencies to tackle the fentanyl crisis that is taking lives away from our loved ones, and at the same time respond to the request from the U.S. administration. So today is about enhancing that collaboration, that coordination, and operational efficiencies. This is not about control. This is about better resource allocation in a way that we can make a difference. I am very pleased that the conversation that I had with Minister Ellis and Minister McIver, that we will going to continue to build on that collaborative approach, and we're going to continue to find ways to work together because we have a shared goal of making Edmonton the safest city it has the potential to be.
Okay, my follow-up is for Minister Ellis, if you would please. Can you please give us an update on appointing more provincial or more provincial appointees to our police commission. Why is that appropriate? Obviously, the province has a role in policing, but as I say, the Edmonton taxpayers pay the largest part of that bill. So why is it appropriate for your government to be increasing the number of appointees on police commission?
So as you're fully aware, as the Minister of Public Safety, I'm responsible for the safety of all Edmontonians. Let me just echo the words of my friend Mayor Sohi here. I think we are in agreement here that the safety of the citizens of Edmonton are first and foremost. I am ecstatically pleased to see members of the Edmonton Police Service, the mayor, the provincial government, other mayors. I can talk about my positive conversations with Minister McGuinty. This is about protecting Canadians, about protecting Albertans, protecting Edmontonians. As the Premier and I have always said, we want to do whatever it takes to keep Edmontonians safe. And we have not indicated that we're doing anything other than trying to keep the citizens of Edmonton safe.
Well, respectfully, you didn't answer my question.
Can we go to the next journalist, please?
Go ahead. Yeah, my question is why you think it's more appropriate for the province to select more police commissioners.
Well, we passed legislation that indicated that we can, in any police of jurisdiction, put up to 49%. We have a role to play in this. So I actually push back on your question to think that we don't have a role to play in this as well. The Police Act actually falls under the province of Alberta. If you look at these guys' ID cards, it will say that their powers are granted to them by the province of Alberta, not by the city of Edmonton. There are social and civil disorders in Edmonton, in Calgary, other jurisdictions in this city. I am thankful to Mayor Sohi that he wants to work with us to address these issues, and we're going to continue down the path to make sure the people of Edmonton get the services that they need in order to keep their city safe.
For the record, I'm not suggesting it's inappropriate. I was simply asking you to explain the decision.
We do have other journalists who want to ask questions.
Well, that's fine, but I have a right to respond.
You had your one question and follow-up. You can follow up with me after if you have any more. You can go ahead.
Jasmine with Global Edmonton. I don't know if this is Minister Ellis or who might be best to answer this question, but how much of this was really under discussion to really ramp up these services, and how much was it on the radar before we heard from Trump and America?
Well, I wouldn't say it was on the radar when President Trump made an announcement. This was kind of born out of a conversation at a federal provincial territorial meeting that I had with Minister McGuinty, as well as other colleagues across Canada. We're all fully aware that the Prime Minister made the commitment to have 10,000 frontline people support Canada, and it's not really specifically about the border per se. Of course, between the CBSA, the RCMP, you're fully aware that we deployed sheriffs to the border as well, and there's been some great results I'm sure we can speak of. But we also have two other components of this as well. There's the organized crime and the cartel component of this, and this is why we have members of Alert here as well as the Edmonton Police Service. But then we also have the social and civil disorder component of this. And in order, and this is part of the great conversation I had with the mayors when I met with them, that it really is about a Team Canada approach and supporting the Prime Minister and supporting the federal government. And look, I mean, I don't have a crystal ball when it comes to the President. I don't think anybody in this room does. However, I will sit there and say that we will leave everything on the table to say that we have done everything it takes to make sure that we have tackled the fentanyl crisis from all three issues when it comes to the border, the organized crime component, and social and civil disorder. So that was, and I'm really thankful to not only all police services within this province, but also to all municipalities, including these mayors behind me, the way that we were able to put this together within only a few weeks.
And then maybe this is for Mayor Sohi or one of the chiefs. Obviously, this has been an issue that we've seen in Edmonton for a while. How much more difficult is it really to make a dent in this crisis and dealing with it every day?
No, I've been in this position for 3.5 years, and I have seen and witnessed the great work being done by EPS, by our peace officers, bylaw officers, social workers, community volunteers, everyone in Edmonton is concerned about the devastating impact that fentanyl and illicit drugs are having on Edmontonians. Every day we lose someone, right? And there is a crisis that we all have a responsibility to tackle. We have been working very collaboratively with the provincial government and the federal government on investing into the social supports. I am grateful for them to be stepping up on increasing the shelter capacity from 700 shelters to 1,700 shelters. I understand there works in the plan to build more recovery facilities in Edmonton and surrounding areas. We need to do more. We all need to step up to do more. But I think we're seeing some of the positive trends, but we have a long way to go because this crisis was in the making for decades. And every community in North America, small, large, big, medium size, is facing it. And everyone needs to work together, and I'm so grateful to the service of our bylaw and peace officers and everyone else involved. I know, Chief LaForce.
Maybe step up. I just kind of want to address the issue that was raised earlier. We have been working very closely with the peace officers for years in transit and the public spaces, and we continue to do that. As a matter of fact, we had a big planning session planned with them to occur last week prior to this announcement, and we kind of shouldered that until we could get through this and figure out what this looks like. But, you know, we're optimistic. I think it's going to give us the ability to coordinate our deployment a little better, have our members, whether it's peace officers or police officers, much more visible in those public spaces, be them in our downtown core, other areas where there's disorder or in transit, and be more engaging with all of the public and start to kind of respond to and manage those behaviors. I think the last point is that as a service, we've done a lot of things in that community safety and well-being space in terms of building alternative measures to the justice program. And by working together, we bring that ability to the peace officers as well in that coordinated approach. So we're optimistic. So thank you.
Hey, Travis McEwen, CBC News. I'm hoping to get a few more details on how this is going to play out with these peace officers. Will they be assigned to certain cities? Will there be requests that they'll have to make? And also, what kind of calls can they and will they be able to assist with?
Sure. I'll pass it over to these guys here. Let me just say that, again, in the conversations I had with the mayors and, of course, even the Alberta Association of Chiefs of Police, all municipalities are, various levels. Some municipalities, the peace officers may not have a coordinated approach. There are other municipalities that had a hybrid approach, and then there's some that really they've been on the same channel and working very, very well together. So in regards to details, though, I'd like to go over to you, Warren. Thanks.
So we have established kind of a singular command under an incident command system led by the police. But with incident command, you have different streams, and we're including key city personnel in those things such as operations and planning. So they don't fall directly, let's say, all the time under police control or command. It is a collaborative approach. We're going to do it in like month sprints where we're working together. We put all those decision makers in one room together to deal with those deployment. It allows us to make decisions on the fly. We also brings us together so we can use data and start to say where are those locations where we can better co-deploy. Maybe it requires just a peace officer, maybe it requires police officers or blended teams. So the purpose is really bringing us together strategically and looking at those areas of disorder. We've done a lot of work with our data, and we can tell you without doubt that where we have high orders or high areas of disorder, we have high areas of violence, right? And it's closely related to the drug activity occurring within those areas. So the goal is to work together, and then on the other side of this, look, how do we continue to build this framework of cooperation together? So.
We know previously peace officers from the province have been brought into Edmonton and Calgary for this kind of use. How is this different, and what conclusions did you find from that piloting that led to this?
Well, I can let the Edmonton Police speak of this. Certainly the results that we had when we had the sheriffs, right, which are, without getting a law lesson on peace officers versus police officers, let me just say that the closest thing to a police officer have been our Alberta sheriffs, especially the ones that do the highway patrol and do our scan teams and all these other great jobs that they're doing, fugitive apprehension teams as an example. But the peace officer program under the sheriffs, I think, has been very good. But I think what we learned from that is the coordinated effort that is being done. And so that's what we're seeing with these guys. We have no doubt that peace officers within the city of Calgary, Edmonton, just as an example, and any of the mid-sized municipalities, sure, they go out there and they deal with things, and we would never, ever ask them to deal with organized crime or deal with cartels, as an example. However, they do, on times, come across situations of a concern. And to have that direct relationship with the law enforcement officer, to be on that same channel, to say I need help, or to say whatever the case is going to be in that particular scenario, I think is only provides a strategic plan, an efficiency to make sure that we're dealing with any social and civil disorder problem in an effective way. And in fact, if we do come across a drug dealer or a person who's wanting to wreak havoc within a community, it becomes a coordinated effort in order to bring in the law enforcement folks in order to deal with that appropriately as well, in a very timely manner as well. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but no, we're good. Okay, thanks.
Hi, Cameron McCouche, CBC Edmonton. Just a quick question for Minister Ellis. So there was a story in the Tyee just questioning the circumstances around the appointment of Surgeon Dr. Jayan Nagendra to the Edmonton Police Commission in May 2023. Just a question about why did you choose and appoint Dr. Nagendran to the Edmonton Police Commission?
Well, this doctor went through the ABC's process, was vetted several times. Would have had to get a vetting, obviously, to be on the police commission through the Edmonton Police Service as well. But let's talk about this gentleman, if you don't mind. I know you just raised him. He's a world-renowned heart surgeon, brings diverse perspective to the Edmonton Police Commission. His extensive experience as a cardiac surgeon, a clinical scientist, director of a division of cardiac surgery, University of Alberta, as well as a surgical director of lung transplantation. Certainly smarter than I will ever be, quite frankly. Associate professor of the U of A Department of Surgery, and I will just say this, Dr. Nagendran is an exceptional community leader who provides diversity, has professional background, significant impact through his experience serving the community. I would say my only criteria is that somebody supports law enforcement and supports the community. And I can't think of a more exceptional person with a background that I can only dream of having that is a member of the Edmonton Police Commission to providing that valued feedback.
And just to follow up a question on that topic, what knowledge did you have of Dr. Nagendran's business relationship with Sam Raich when you made that appointment?
I have no answer to that whatsoever. I don't know any of Mr. Nagendran's business. Certainly, if you have a question regarding his business, I think you need to ask him. That's not something that I would be aware of. Thank you.
We do have some callers on the phone. Because of time constraints, we're going to head to the phone right away. Operator, can you put through our first caller?
Yes, your first question is from Shalon Skolsky from CPV News. Your line is now open.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my question. I'm not sure who best to speak to this, but just kind of following up on one of my colleagues' questions. I'm just wondering if you can give me more examples or explain why this coordinated approach will be so beneficial. If you can provide specific examples of how these resources will be coordinated and what it'll actually mean to reduce crime and social disorder.
Yeah, thank you. It's Deputy Chief Schreikel here. So the first thing would be allowing those peace officers, by virtue of working with a police officer, some expanded authorities. So for instance, if a peace officer comes across somebody using drugs, the best they can do is detain that individual until a police officer responds. So giving them the ability now to work in blended teams to respond directly to that incident or deal with that drugs. Peace officers are not equipped to seize drugs. So again, where we come across maybe drug use in public spaces, whether it's transit or on the street, they require a police officer to assist. So again, giving them a little more, flexibility in what they do and legitimizing their efforts, what they're doing out there on the street. The one thing we do want to do is blend our data from a efficiency perspective, so that we can say these are the priorities for us together rather than individually, and working together in those high priority spaces at the right time of day. I'll use transit as an example. Like, we know that maybe in the morning, afternoon, we're going to have higher ridership, so working together to cause that coverage. So those are some, I think, some examples. Really, it comes down to public safety. Our goal, hopefully, is to reduce those incidents and improve the perception of safety for our community. So.
Did you have a follow-up?
Thank you for that. I'm just wondering if you can, just a follow-up, but also just some clarity on that. When you say that it could give peace officers more flexibility to do things they couldn't prior do, like seizing drugs and things like that, is that meaning that we're actually giving peace officers more power, or they'll have more power because they're working alongside police? And then as my secondary question, it would be for Mayor Sohi or Mayor Gandam, just any concerns about consolidation of control of local officers, if that will take away municipal authority and decision-making and result in any concerns of potential overreach, if you can speak to that, and what checks and balances are in place to ensure that does not happen.
Well, it's not provincial overreach. This is a coordinated effort between the City of Edmonton as well as the Edmonton Police Service to make sure that they're dealing with this on a coordinated approach and, quite frankly, a compassionate approach. Sorry, and what was your first question? Sorry, your second question? Pardon me? Sure.
Sorry, I was just hoping to get a little bit of clarity from my first question's answer in regards to peace officers. I think the Deputy Chief spoke about peace officers, whether or not they're going to have more power essentially under these changes, or still have more power because they're working alongside.
No, thank you very much. No, there's no new powers that are being granted to peace officers. As the Deputy Chief mentioned, if they do come across drugs, for instance, they don't have the authority to process those drugs, and of course they do. As a peace officer, they would be able to, basically do what we call in policing an actual stop, bring in the police officer, then the police officer comes and deals with that appropriately. So simple answer to your question is no additional new powers. Again, it's a coordinated approach to deal with some social and civil disorder within municipalities. Thank you.
We do have time for one more caller. Operator, can you put them through, please?
Yes, your next question is from Jen Hudson from Western Standard. Your line is now open.
Hi, good afternoon, Minister Ellis. I'm just wondering, what difference will this make for people tangibly in their communities because of the announcement that you've made today?
What difference will it make in communities?
Oh, thank you. What difference will it make in the communities? Well, look, it goes back to what I said in my remarks. Officer presence matters. This is not about arresting people. It is about officer presence. It's about making sure that people within their communities feel safe. That is part of the success, actually going back to one of the previous questions that we had with our sheriffs in both downtowns, Calgary and Edmonton, is that there was a feeling of people feeling safe on transit. There was a feeling of people feeling safe just walking down the streets of Edmonton or Calgary. So the same thing applies, is that in this coordinated approach, I can tell you that, especially with an announcement like today, those who are wishing to do Edmontonians harm or Calgarians harm, or quite frankly, anybody within any community any harm, they're going to be put on notice that peace officers are going to be working in a very effective and a coordinated effort with law enforcement within the province of Alberta, and we are not going to tolerate certainly any violence towards anybody who wants to cause problems with citizens of Alberta.
Did you have a follow-up, Jen?
Yes, thank you. And my follow-up is actually related to your answer. So what about catch and release policies for fentanyl traffickers?
Well, that's a half-hour presentation on C-75. So I certainly, I ask the police officers, who wonderful men and women who are standing here today, do your job, right? When somebody commits a crime, you arrest them. If the system right now lets that person out and they commit another crime, I expect you to go and do your job again. Regarding any sort of repeal of C-75, which I can tell you that all of the provinces are very much united on repealing, that is something that will have an actual tangible effect on the catch and release program. So to all police officers who are listening right now, don't get discouraged. Myself, all public safety ministers right across Canada understand this. I have also raised this with Minister McGuinty as well regarding concerns regarding C-75. I do believe that he has heard me, and my expectation is, of course, that Sorry, let me just back up a bit. When you talk about the justice system and specifically the Crown prosecutors, I can tell you that Minister Amory, of course, has very direct with his Crown prosecutors to make sure that that we're making sure that when anybody was charged, that we're doing the bail hearings. However, we don't have any control over or not whether or not a judge chooses to let somebody in or keep somebody in custody. And the other thing I would add to that as well is that you're probably aware of this, is that we do have the electronic monitoring that we've made available as well because of the so-called catch and release that you had already indicated there. And I can tell you that the having that tool available as a tool in the toolbox is another way of making sure that we address the catch and release program.
We do have time for one more question from the floor, and she's been waiting patiently. You can go ahead.
Very patient.
Hi, my name is Eve Cote. I'm with Radio Canada. My first question is regarding the funding. I was wondering if you could give me a bit more numbers on that and from where it will come from.
I appreciate that. Good question. This again goes back to I've had this conversation with the mayors and have certainly had the conversation with the Alberta Association of Chiefs of Police. So this goes back to the conversation with Minister McGuinty. When I proposed this to him, because I think the feds had about 1.3 billion, if I'm not mistaken, again to kind of whether it be the coordinated effort when it comes to social and civil disorder or organized crime or the border issue. And I said one of the things that you could help us with in order to help you, again, when we talk about these 800 peace officers in coordination with the police officers, is if you could help pay for the overtime, if you can help pay, because we're looking right now at even expanding some of our organized crime units, our drug units within all of these police services as well. But again, I can't hire, train, and deploy somebody within the next 10 to 15 days. That's not reasonable. However, you can help us by providing the funding for the overtime so that we can have these officers out there. I can say that the great conversation, Minister McGuinty is looking into it. He has not confirmed that yet, but I can say he was very, very responsive, which of course has given us, kind of we'll call it the go-ahead to have this announcement today.
Thank you. My next question is for the two deputy chiefs. So when you were appointed, you said that you would be working 1 month each, and you're both here today. I was wondering how you plan on tackling this task together.
Yeah, thank you. Great question. And I think today is a great example of just answering that question. So certainly I'm chief right now for the first month. Warren Drake will be chief in a month. And we're obviously in the loop of each other's portfolios and kind of decisions that we're making. And that way we maintain that alignment going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. This concludes our announcement.